The silence of space shattered as 12 human warships tore through the dimensional barrier, their hulls gleaming under the light of an unfamiliar sun. Captain James Reed stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. Intelligence reports had been clear. The Vex forces had established a foothold on colony world Epsilon 9, and civilian casualties were mounting by the hour. "Status report," Reed commanded, his voice steady, despite the gravity of their mission. "Lieutenant," Wilson turned from her console. "Sir, dimensional transition complete. All ships reporting green. Enemy forces detected in low orbit above Epsilon 9. Their numbers match intelligence estimates, approximately 37 vessels of various classes." Reed nodded. The Vex had expected to face the Colonial Defense Force, a handful of outdated, ships crewed by part-time soldiers. Instead, they would confront Battle Group Omega, veterans of the Proxima campaign. The alien invaders had never faced humanity's elite forces before. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. "Open fleet-wide comms," Reed ordered. "Channel open, sir." Reed drew a deep breath. "All ships, this is Captain Reed. You've all read the reports. The Vex have been raiding our outer colonies for 3 months. They believe we're stretched too thin to respond effectively. They believe humans are easy prey." His fingers tightened around the command rail. "Today we prove them wrong. Execute Battle Plan Thunderstrike for Earth and her colonies." Acknowledgements flooded the comms as the human fleet accelerated toward their targets. The Vex formation, initially tight and orderly, began to shift as their sensors detected the approaching human vessels. Commander Anna Thompson watched the tactical display from her position aboard the destroyer UES Lightning. "They're confused," she remarked to her XO. "Look at their formation, they're trying to reorient to face us." "They expected minimal resistance," her XO replied. "Not a battle group deploying in pincer formation." Thompson smiled grimly. "Humanity has been fighting wars against itself for thousands of years before we ever reached the stars. Did they really think we wouldn't be good at it?" Aboard the Vex command vessel, Supreme Commander Kraz stared at the incoming human fleet with mounting concern. The bipedal mammals had been classified as a minor species, technologically capable but lacking the martial prowess of a truly dangerous race. The raids on their colonies had met with minimal effective resistance, yet the vessels approaching his fleet moved with precision that spoke of extensive combat experience. Their formation was perfect. No wasted movement, no hesitation. "Deploy squadrons 1 through 6, Kraz ordered. Engage at maximum range and assess their capabilities." His subordinate hesitated. "Supreme Commander, their weapon systems are powering up in a pattern we haven't observed before." Before Kraz could respond, space itself seemed to ignite. The human fleet had waited until they were just within optimal firing range before unleashing their first salvo. Missiles streaked across the void, followed by lances of coherent energy that sliced through the vacuum. The Vex interceptor squadrons disintegrated under the onslaught. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Reed watched with cold satisfaction as the enemy vessels were reduced to expanding clouds of debris. "First blood to us," he said. "Press the advantage. All ships advance by echelon. Cruisers maintain suppression fire on their flanks." The human fleet moved as one entity, like a predator closing on wounded prey. The Vex attempted to rally, bringing their larger ships to bear, but they had been caught unprepared. Their formation was compromised, their command structure thrown into disarray by the ferocity of the human assault. Lieutenant Tom Baker, piloting an assault shuttle toward the colony's surface with a platoon of Marines, watched through his viewport as the space battle unfolded above. "Look at that," his co-pilot said with undisguised awe. "The Dauntless just took out their flagship." Baker nodded, focusing on his approach vector. "The Vex thought they were hunting sheep. Turns out they found wolves." Below, on the surface of Epsilon 9, the human colonists huddled in emergency shelters, watched their skies light up with distant explosions. For days they had endured raids from Vex ground forces, tall insectoid creatures that moved with unnatural speed and showed no mercy. Now those same aliens were retreating in disarray as human dropships descended through the atmosphere. Major Lisa Parker, led the first wave of Marines into the colony's main settlement. The Vex had established a command post in what had once been the Colonial Administration building. As her troops secured the perimeter, she activated her combat neural link, receiving real-time updates from orbiting sensors. "The enemy is in full retreat," she informed her squad leaders. "They've abandoned their heavy equipment. Sweep and clear by sections, remember your training." The Marines moved through the settlement with practiced efficiency. Where the Vex relied on overwhelming force and intimidation, the humans employed tactics refined through centuries of warfare. Small teams cleared buildings methodically, covering each other's advances, communicating through encrypted channels. Within 3 hours, the colony was secure. The Vex forces that hadn't been eliminated had fled to the hills, pursued by human scout drones. In orbit, the battle had already concluded. Of the 37 Vex vessels, 23 had been destroyed outright. The remainder had fled, jumping, to dimensional space with varying degrees of damage. Captain Reed stood in the colony's reclaimed operations center, reviewing casualty reports with Major Parker. Human losses had been minimal. 3 ships damaged, 1 destroyed, 46 personnel killed in action. Compared to the potential loss of the entire colony and its 8,000 inhabitants, it was a price they had been prepared to pay. "The Vex won't make this mistake again," Parker observed. "They'll come back in greater numbers next time." Reed nodded. "Let them come. We'll be waiting, and we'll remind them why humanity has survived every threat we've ever faced." As night fell, on Epsilon 9, the colonists emerged from their shelters to find human soldiers standing guard over their homes. The invaders who had threatened their existence just hours before were gone, driven away by the species the Vex had so gravely underestimated. Humanity had arrived in the combat zone. The enemy had been defeated. And across the stars, the message was clear. Earth's children would not be easy prey for any species that sought to test their resolve.